Okay, so in the previous session, all of you remember, we had been discussing about the evidences of evolution, right? Evolution के बारे में हम discuss कर रहे थे, and we have completed some part of it. The one of the major parts of the topic that is about evidences, right? All of you remember the different evidences that we have discussed. Yes, the first one was which evidence?
Morphological evidence.
Morphological evidence, correct. Second one,
Anatomical.
anatomical. Under anatomical evidence, there were three types of organs that we studied. Which were they? Three types of organs under anatomical evidence. Bolo?
Homologous,
Yes. Homologous. Second one,
analogous,
analogous. And third one, yes, Abhirami, what is the third one? You remember?
vestigial organs,
Vestigial organs. That's right. Homologous, analogous, and vestigial. Okay. Please remember, revise and come properly before your next session. Everybody. Okay. Abhirami, you should also be able to answer well. Okay. Okay. And I can see Shivganga is joined over here. Shivganga, you were not there in the last lecture.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What happened?
So I was not at home.
Okay.
I went to hospital. That's it.
Hospital. Why? What happened? Can come on the screen first.
Yeah, my dad suggested for bypass surgery, so
Oh,
I
okay. He's fine now.
went to meet him.
Okay. He's discharged. He's fine.
Yes, he's fine, and surgery is also done.
Okay. That's good. Okay. No problem. Make sure that you go through the topics well. Okay. And if you have any queries, you can always discuss. Okay. So the recordings are anyway sent. So this is a genuine reason it can be understood. But now avoid missing any lectures. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It remain on the screen. Okay. Then, so to just give you a brief idea, we have discussed about the evidences of evolution pointing towards the fact that any two organisms randomly, if you take out of the five kingdoms, there is a common ancestor between them. Okay, that means there is some pattern which is developed during the course of evolution, right? And that's the reason this diversification has occurred. Okay, that is the one main thing about evolution that we have seen, right? So we have discussed about anatomical evidence, that is homologous, analogous, and vestigial organs in human beings, in plants, and in some other animals as well. Okay. Then we have discussed about something called paleontological evidence. What is the meaning of paleontological evidence?
study of fossils,
Study of fossils. Right? All of you are aware about what are fossils? The remains of ancient plants and animals that we get today, because of which we are able to point out or understand the fact that these creatures used to live on the earth. The simplest example is dinosaurs. Right? Nobody has seen dinosaurs, but we are aware that they used to exist on this earth. You know? So paleontological evidence. After paleontology, these kind of fossils are there, right? And then we have come to the point of connecting links. This was also a very important point, connecting links. That means what? There are different groups of different organisms which are like having features between two adjacent groups in the classification. Okay, they say this one, the fossil that we discussed is called Archaeopteryx. This is the fossil of Archaeopteryx that we have today. The creature does not exist, it is extinct. Okay, but इसके जो fossils हैं ये देखकर हमें पता चलता है कि yes, this kind of an organism used to live. So artists have recreated their impression. The Archaeopteryx used to resemble like this. Okay, and that was found to be a proper connecting link between a reptile and a bird. See, Okay, so reptilian character क्या होता था? It had sharp claws. It had sharp teeth. Okay, they were reptilian characters. They were carnivorous. Okay, and bird-like character क्या होते थे? As you can see, it had got wings, it had got feathers, and it had a beak. ये birds वाले features. So that means organisms which are showing the features of two groups. उनको बोलते हैं connecting links. And this gives you a clear picture that the birds have evolved from the reptiles. Getting at this example here to remember Archaeopteryx. Okay. Similarly, we also discussed about this animal. What is the name of this animal?
Duckbill platypus.
Correct. Duck-billed platypus. Okay, which is a connecting link between birds and mammals. इसमें दोनों के features हैं. So this is animal. This is not even extinct. We get this animal today also. Okay. So this animal gives you a clear idea that mammals have evolved from the birds. Okay, and mammals are at the height of evolution in animals. Similarly, this is an example of a plant. Do you remember what is the name of this plant? क्या नाम है इस plant का? Something with the letter G. Okay, it is called nitum. G is silent. Okay, we pronounce it as nitum, and this is a connecting link between gymnosperm and angiosperm. Okay, so in 9th standard you have studied plant classification, so you know very well angiosperms are the most advanced group of plants, and before that were the gymnosperms. So this is a transition between both, and it is giving you an idea that angiosperms have evolved from the gymnosperms. Okay, so like that we have studied about connecting links. So three main evidences we have seen. There is one more evidence remaining. First we'll complete that, then we'll go to the theories of evolution. Okay, so the next evidence is about embryological evidence. Okay, do you know what is an embryo? It's not a new term, I suppose. What is an embryo? Embryo किसको बोलते हैं? Okay, are you aware about the two types of reproduction in organisms? We'll study about reproduction in detail in life process 2. That's another lesson you have. But at least you will be aware about the two types of reproductions that organisms do. If I tell one, the other one you can easily tell. One of them is asexual reproduction. The second one is
Sexual reproduction.
sexual reproduction. Correct. Okay. So in the case of sexual reproduction, there are two parents required. We call it a male parent and a female parent. Both of them produce their reproductive cells, which are called gametes. Okay. So the gametes of the male and the gametes of the female will be fusing, and that produces the first cell of a new life, which is called the zygote. Okay, which is called the zygote. I'll show you like this. Understand this concept very properly. Okay, see, there is a male parent. We denote a male like this. Okay, and there is a female parent. We denote like this. Okay, male parent will produce the male gametes or the male sex cells or the reproductive cells. We call it sperm. Okay, the female parent. कट गया तो चार्ज भी कम लगा देते, अब भी कम हुआ। इधर का लैपटॉप चार्जर किधर है लेकिन okay, am I audible everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think there was this power supply got disconnected, so no problem. I'll share the screen once again. Okay, so I was telling that the male gamete is called the sperm and the female gamete is known as the egg. Okay, we call the female gamete or the egg cell. We'll discuss about gamete and egg cell and all in detail in life process too. Okay, so when one sperm fuses with one egg, that process is called fertilization. Okay, that gives one diploid cell or one normal cell of a life. This cell is called zygote. Okay, have you heard the word zygote? Zygote word सुना है पहले? Right?
No.
No? Okay, remember this now. It is called as the zygote. This zygote is the first cell of a new life. That means all organisms which undergo sexual reproduction, they begin their life as the zygote. It is the one single cell. Okay, this zygote will then undergo divisions because the organism will not necessarily always remain unicellular. Okay, so in order to become multicellular, it will divide and it will give rise to a mass of cells. Okay, it will become a mass of cells which will ultimately also get differentiated and it will get some particular shape according to that organism. That means if it is a human being, it will start looking like a small human being. Okay, at this stage, we call it embryo. We call it embryo. Remember this. Okay, this is about sexual reproduction in organisms. It's not only for human beings or something, it is applicable for all organisms that carry out sexual reproduction. So majority of the higher plants and animals, they undergo sexual reproduction. Okay, so their life begins as zygote and they differentiate to become the embryo. Okay, embryo आगे चल के फिर वो organism बनेगा. Whatever organism, that means if it is a cat, the embryo will become a cat. If it's a dog, the embryo will become a dog, like that. Okay, so understood the meaning of embryo, everyone, properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now this embryo becomes an evidence for us in evolution. How that can happen? See, here as an example, okay, you can see these are some examples of embryos of 6 different organisms. Okay, you have fish. Okay, there is a small lizard-like animal called salamander. You know what is a turtle? Okay, chicken, very common, rabbit, and a human being. So in all these organisms, they do sexual reproduction in the same way as I showed you now. So when their embryos are developed, imagine you are talking about these 6 different organisms. Can you see the embryos in their first stage? Just see the first row. Right from fish, salamander, turtle, chicken, rabbit, human, all the embryos are looking so similar. Can you notice that?
Yes.
They are looking so similar. That means what? Whether you take a human being and a turtle or a salamander and a rabbit or a fish or a chicken, They are similar in their initial stages. That means in their ancestors, they were related. That means we human beings also were looking like a fish at some time in life. Okay, we look like a chicken in some time in life. Have you understood that? Right? So similarly, embryo development when it takes place. See the second stage. Now they are looking different from each other. And then see the third stage. That means a fish develops in this line, a salamander goes on like this, a turtle develops like this, and similarly human being develops like this. That means their developmental stages might be different, but the initial stages of the embryo are very similar. So that becomes an evidence that somewhere or the other they were connected in evolution. That is why it is an evidence of evolution. Okay, what is this?
Fish.
It's a fish. What is this? This is the animal called salamander, which is written over here. Okay. What is this?
Turtle.
Turtle. This is a chicken. Okay. Then that's a rabbit. And of course, a human being. Getting it? So now if you look at the fully formed organisms of all this, they look so different. If I ask you what is the difference between a fish and a human baby, you can see the differences for yourself. But then see their embryos. Now you understood this? Okay. So
Yes.
embryological evidences are clear, everyone? Okay.
Yes.
Now we move on to the next part, that is something called theories of evolution. Okay. Now when you say theories of evolution, okay, till now we had seen evidences. Now we have to discuss about the theories. Okay. Once you understand, you agree with the point, okay, yes, there were common ancestors between different groups of organisms. You agree to the fact that this kind of evolutionary process must have taken place. But how exactly it has taken place? What is the process of evolution? So for that, there were different theories put forward by different scientists. But the most common theory that we believe, that we accept, it is called as the theory of natural selection by Charles Darwin. Have you heard about Charles Darwin, everyone? Famous person? And he has explained something really interesting. Okay, that's the theory of natural selection. So let us take a look at that. Okay, the person who put forward this theory, his full name is Charles Robert Darwin. Okay, from 1809 to 1882. That means he was a person from the 19th century. Okay, so this person was actually very, very thoughtful, and he had a good observation skills. Okay, he was not a technical scientist as such. Okay, but he put forward this theory based on his observation skills. So always remember, your observation should be really good. You see so many things around you, but only when you observe, you will get questions in your mind. Why it is like this? So Charles Darwin, during his younger days, he was actually sent to pursue medicine and become a doctor. Okay, उसके family वाले बोले कि go and become a doctor. That has got a good career. You will earn well and all. ऐसा करके बोला. But he was not interested in becoming a doctor. He was sent to Edinburgh University. But he was not interested in becoming a doctor. He was more inclined or more passionate about observing nature. उसको nature के बारे में studies करना बहुत पसंद था. So because he didn't go for becoming a doctor or something, so he came back, and then this was the ship. Okay, the name of the ship was HMS Beagle. This person Darwin was put into this ship. He got a job in this ship as a naturalist. Ship में उसका job मिला naturalist, and this ship roamed around the entire world for 5 years. That means Darwin was a traveler, a naturalist in the ship, and he roamed around the entire world in 5 years. He visited different continents. That times you can understand there were a lot of merchants who used to go from one country to another for trading and all. Okay, spices, masale, vegetables वगैरह सब trading करते थे उस time पे. There used to be a lot of merchants. Nowadays we have this export import and all, but it was in the 19th century this kind of ships traveling used to be very common. So Darwin was put into the ship. Okay, you do this job. So when he traveled as a naturalist, when he visited so many different continents, he actually saw, see this. This is the world map, and you can see this red line. Okay, this red line indicates the direction in which the ship traveled across the world. So many different places. Okay, that means this is Australia. यहाँ से, this is the southern part of India, Sri Lanka. This is the southern part of Africa, South America. Like that, he visited every continent. It was a long voyage, 5 years ka voyage. Getting it? He enjoyed the voyage. Okay, but at the same time, what he did, he learned so many things. He observed so many things. Now, what did he observe? Let us take a look. Okay, and one more thing. At that point of time, there was another scientist whose name was Alfred Russel Wallace. That person had lot of observations and lot of papers written by him, where he has explained a lot of things about the nature. Charles Darwin, during his voyage, read many papers written by Alfred Wallace, and he got inspired. So based on everything together, he put across this theory of natural selection. So remember this, that the theory put forward by Charles Darwin is called the theory of natural selection. Okay, so what are the points of this theory now? Okay, now this theory is divided into about 5 to 6 points. First, take a look at the points, then we'll see one by one in detail. Okay, the first point of this theory is called overproduction. Okay, second point is called struggle for existence. Third one, survival of the fittest. Then you have natural selection, followed by formation of new species, which is called speciation. Okay, it's like, I'll show you this way. Okay, okay. Suppose this is one species. Okay, say call it species A. ये उसका first generation. Okay, this species has its own set of adaptations. It can be animal, plant, whatever, but it has got its own set of adaptations. This generation gave rise to the next generation. This is the second generation, same species. So whatever characteristics were there in this first generation, they all have come into the second generation. Getting it? Okay, whatever characteristics were there in the first generation, all of them have come up in the second generation as well. Along with that, the second generation environment has changed. So there are some characteristics which are newly acquired by this second generation. So both of them together now goes into the third generation. Getting it? So in the third generation, there will be a new set of characters. There might be some characters which are not required for this generation and they have got deleted. Because the first generation might require it, third generation may not require it. Like this, it keeps on happening across generations. In next generation also, there will be new characters and there will be some deletion of old characters along with the new ones. When this keeps on taking place for a lot of generations, okay, say after 50, 100 generations, okay, if you see 50 or say 100 generations, and if you compare this 100th generation with the first generation itself, do you think it will be the same? If you compare this 100th generation with
No.
the first one of the same species, That means if you consider the ancestor of this 100th generation, will it be the same? Will it be the same? There will be a lot of differences. Yes or no? Because in every generation, there are some new set of characters and some old characters getting deleted. So there is some change happening in every generation because of the change in the environment. So if you compare the 100th generation with the first one, it will be so different from each other that you can call this as a new species. It is not the same species anymore. This way the new species are formed on the earth, and that is called speciation. The formation of new species is called speciation. This is how the process of evolution takes place. Understood this point, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
Darwin
sir.
was also explaining on similar lines. The first thing is overproduction, okay, followed by struggle for existence, survival of the fittest, natural selection, and formation of new species. All these things, whatever Darwin told and explained about the theory of natural selection, he has explained the entire things in his book. He has written this book called The Origin of Species. Okay, so remember the name of the book which is written by Darwin, which is called On the Origin of Species by means of natural selection. Okay, by Charles Darwin. This you have to remember, everyone. Okay, so let us take a look at the points one by one. Okay, so first thing, the first point of Darwin's theory was termed as overproduction, also called prodigality of production. Okay, now this is associated with reproduction. See this. You know what is this? Have you ever seen this in this picture?
No.
It looks something like smoke coming out of a tree bark or something. ऐसा कुछ लग रहा है? But it is not smoke. This is a fungus. Okay, it is a fungus and it is giving out spores. The smoke like thing that you're seeing coming out, they are small spores. There are thousands of them released at a time. Getting it? They are spores released by a fungus. Wherever the spores will go and land, they will germinate and a new fungus will be formed. So it's the fungus way of reproduction. Getting it? I'll tell you why I'm showing you this. See the next picture. What is this? This looks like some small bubbles in water.
Yes.
They are small young tadpoles, the young ones of a frog. See, so many of them. Frogs lay eggs. When the eggs hatch, they turn into these tadpoles. Okay, so you can see a large number of tadpoles here, right? Similarly, see this. What is this?
Eggs of a fish.
The eggs which have hatched, and you can see very tiny fishes, right? That means the adult fish has given birth to many small fishes, tiny ones. Okay, then see this. These are seeds of a plant, these black colored ones. So in one, this fruit is known as a pod. In one pod, You can see so many seeds have come out. They all will be dispersed in so many different directions. Wherever they will go and land, you will see a new plant germinating out of it. That means in one plant, there are so many seeds produced. Right? Now see this. This is a
Yes.
very common plant, you know.
Yes.
It is the, which plant is that?
Coconut tree.
It's the coconut
Coconut tree.
tree, correct. Right? So if you have seen, especially people who are from Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, South India, right? So you know very well that South India is full of coconuts, correct? So here, the one single coconut tree is giving so many coconuts. Okay, that means if you take one tree and if all the coconuts from that will germinate, you will get so many coconut trees out of it. Getting it? There will be so many coconut trees out of it, right? Similarly, see this. Which bird is it? It is a flightless bird. Ostrich, kiwi.
Ostrich.
Yes, that's an
Ostrich.
ostrich. You can see one ostrich laying so many eggs. Correct? See
Yes.
this very common sight. Which animal? It's a dog with so many puppies. Yes or no? You know very well. One female dog can give birth to 6 to 8 or 10 puppies at a time. Yes or no? See this. Which animal?
Sir, we are not able to see the pictures on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Achha,
Yes,
no,
sir.
no picture. Okay, okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. Share screen once again. Okay. Now you are able to see.
No.
No.
No, sir.
Okay. No problem. Just do one thing. Anyways, the time is getting up. Disconnect and join back again. We'll continue. Okay.
Okay, sir.